All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Breakdown. My name is Richie. I'm here today with my co-host.
I'm Aleks.
What up, Survivor family?
All right. And unlike the weather in Wisconsin the last couple of days, we're going to be keeping it cool by talking about Survivor Wisconsin New Blood, Episode 5. If I sound a little weird today, I lost my voice a little bit the last couple of days. So, by the way, I will say, if you have not watched this episode or any of our past seasons, go watch it now. What the hell are you doing? Go watch that. Survivor Whitewater especially, too, because Survivor Whitewater was so popular that I even had someone on Bumble talking to me about it last night. No joke. Someone started last night, and then I'm just kind of like, okay, then. Okay.
Cool, let's get right into the episode.
He has not responded back, by the way. Anyways, yes, we will talk about the episode. We'll break it down part by part, what we thought about everything. And we will also talk about our player of the episode. We'll be answering your guys' questions, and we even give you guys a sneak peek of what's to come. So, I think we should get started, shouldn't we, guys?
Yeah.
So we kind of start off with the aftermath of the comeback. Everyone's merged. They're all kind of looking at each other, sizing each other up, and we kind of get a lot of interesting confessionals. I definitely think we're really good. So, Aleks, Steib, I'm gonna throw it out to you guys.
Yeah, so I'll start off. Ben's confessional. He's very tight with Maddie, Kira, Zach, John V. And right now he is like the main nucleus in that OG bully camp. So it will be kind of fun seeing how he navigates, kind of knowing that he has a lot of reaches he can kind of go from different angles. So seeing him just kind of say like, yes, I know that I'm like right now like the biggest person on this old bully camp. Like, I'll see what I can do with it. Yeah, there's that. I can keep on going if you guys like just kind of want to pitch in.
Yeah, I definitely think that actually, Steib, you go first. Sorry, you were about to say something. I cut off.
Yeah.
You go first.
No, I really enjoyed this first episode. The first episode after the new merge. You have a lot of strong relationships already, and it's going to be pretty interesting to see how strong those bonds are tested, and to see who can come out of this episode and survive. Richie, what else do you have to say?
Kind of talking about the pre-challenge content. I guess kind of I thought it was very interesting how quickly some people were to integrate themselves into other groups, both before and after the challenge. But specifically talking about before, I think it's kind of said that like Ben is kind of like a nucleus for a lot of these connections. We kind of see a lot of people. I'm pretty sure, was it before the challenge or after the challenge we saw John and Taylor content? Because I thought it was something before the challenge, but I thought there was something like small before the challenge, if I remember correctly.
No, not that I really know of that I have on here. But I can keep on going with the confessionals that were said beforehand.
Yeah,
please do.
Natalie said in her confessional that she wanted to put in an all-girls alliance together. We'll kind of see that kind of going through the episode. That is kind of a strong feature point. Zach still thinks. Zach thinks Ben did the rogue vote in his confessional, but Maris told Zach that John did it. So that's also something to keep an eye on going forward in this game. In this episode, Tyler said he wanted to play a low-key game, kind of starting in the merge and then kind of working his way up to becoming a bigger threat at the end when no one can actually take him out. Maddie, Ben, and Zach have a 3% alliance called Survivor Vibin, which I thought was really fun.
It's an interesting name.
Yeah, Zach named it Survivor Vibin.
Survivor Vibin. That's basically what we're doing right now. Survivor Vibin.
Yep. Kira heard intel that there's a secret couple in the game. We will know who knows that when we get to see it in the actual episode. But that is something to take note of, that Kira kind of knows going into the merge that there is a couple in this game, and then we will get to it, of course, later in the episode.
Yeah, because we'll get to it after the challenge, because I think it becomes a very massive talking point later on. So,
and that's like the main confessionals. That was like kind of like the takeaways. And then Taylor, Natalie, and John are like are the close three, of course. They all know each other, so that's also something to look forward in this episode as well.
Alrighty. So before we get into the challenge, is there anything you two really want to say about the pre-challenge content, or?
No, I think we covered it all.
It was still just a lot of speculation on who had that rogue vote on Zach, and we'll see it, of course, the episode, like how that all unfolds. But that's really all I have to say about the confessionals and talking points.
I do want to say, I do think it was really nice and interesting too, from both like a game and non-game standpoint, that all the people who were in the merge were actually eating with each other, enjoying a little merge feast, as I'll jokingly call it, and they're actually chilling, they're talking with each other, and I really like that, because it's like, I think it could definitely like, it's been a long day, I lost track of what I was saying. I think it's really good game wise, because they actually have the chance to talk to each other. Because in a lot of the past seasons I played in, both times I made the merge where we had a little lunch break. Everyone kind of split off into their own little groups. No one really wanted to talk to each other. So from a game standpoint, I do think, it's interesting, because it could be having these game conversations, but also it's really good to just see like everyone vibing with each other, having a great time. That's what we should probably call this breakdown next season, vibing.
Yeah.
But yeah, and also it's just great to see everyone having a great time and not splitting up clicky wise, and just like, it's great to see everyone having a great time. That's what happened in my first season. Me and some other people were kind of just stragglers left by ourselves, and I was kind of like, like I want to get to know people. So I'm glad they had a great opportunity to get to know each other, and it's really great to see them all happy to be there. Everyone's really happy to be there. They want to be here, which is really nice. And, it's a great refresher compared to some seasons we have where half the cast is like, I really want to be here, and the other half is like, I don't give a shit. So, unless you two have anything you want to say, then let's get to the challenge.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So this is the first individual immunity challenge of the season. If people watching don't know what that means, then it basically means that immunity is now up for grabs for only one person. And with that in mind, there is a bit of a challenge we did a few seasons ago. I believe it was Captain's Curse. And this challenge is essentially like the blindfold one. They're put into partners randomly. And after the challenge starts and begins, the one person will be blindfolded. Their partner will tell the blindfolded person where a bag of puzzle pieces are. And after they do that, they'll bring the bag back. Both members of that pair will work on a puzzle. The pair that finishes the puzzle first, both win individual immunity and are safe until the next vote. So before we get into the results of the challenge, what are your guys' thoughts about it?
I do want to talk about the split ups of who is on like each duo. So we have Kira and Tyler as a duo, Ben and Maddie as a duo, Rebecca and John as a duo, Zach and Taylor as a duo, Natalie and Maris as a duo. So there's all of our duos that we kind of competing with each other. And yeah, I love this challenge. I played this challenge back in Captain's Curse. It was a fun challenge. Very fun entertainment as well. Steib knows for a fact that was a pretty entertaining challenge.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, dude, it was fun to actually be behind the scenes in this one rather than actually be blindfolded. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of got to film both versions of this challenge, and yeah, Steib, is there anything you want to say about it before I say anything else, or?
It's a very entertaining challenge. If you go back and check out Captain's Curse, if you haven't seen it already, I recommend you do. The blindfold challenge that Aleks was speaking of, we competed in, and it was, looking back on it, it was quite hilarious. Of course, it's not hilarious in the moment when you're stumbling around blindfolded like an idiot, but it does make for some very fun content, and it was a very fun challenge to watch. And ultimately, beyond the blindfolding, when it got to the puzzle solving, it was a pretty close race at that point. So I was very amused by the challenge.
Yeah, and I do feel like it's done better this season than Captain's Curse, just because you don't have to deal with all the ball in the cup thing. So I do feel like it's a way more intense race now, taking out the ball and cup thing from Captain's Curse, and I do feel like it's done way better this season.
Yeah, I like the challenge and how it was done. The only thing I wish we would have did is that having the puzzle pieces put out there after they're blindfolded. Because I think we had them out there before, so a lot of people kind of just ran straight forward, and I'm kind of like, damn, I wish we would have waited till after, because they clearly saw, but I mean, I don't think we could have predicted that, but yeah, it was a very interesting challenge to watch, and unless you guys have anything else to say about this fun challenge, then I'll reveal the results.
Yeah, take it.
Go ahead.
So the winners of the first individual challenge of the season are Maddie and Ben. They both won individual immunity. The first one of the season is a very great opportunity great opportunities can come up when you are immune. It's also a very great time when you win individual immunity. I've definitely been in that spot before. Although I will say one of my wins was by default, so you can go watch Twit Manor for that whole shit show. Am I the only one here is one? No, Steib, you won immunity, right?
Yeah, I did one challenge win.
What do you say?
A couple of times. I never.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm built different,
Yeah.
Actually, I've won like 4 over all my seasons. I've won like individual immunity 4 times, and 3 of those was the same season. But I've also have not done good. The last individual challenge, every time I do an individual challenge since like 2021, I've not done good. So I shouldn't be saying that. But yeah, Ben and Maddie winning immunity, I think was really great. That they won immunity. Obviously, for me, at this point in time, filming in the game, I had kind of seen a lot of their game, and I'm like, they're really fun. Really, like, I don't know the word I'm looking for. I almost want to say bright and positive, but like, they both have a lot of energy, like great energy. So seeing them win, I was very happy. I was like, let's go, let's go. What did you guys think about that?
We just told you.
I meant,
well, and we're
challenge.
production, so I mean, we're happy when everybody wins. But yes, no, it was very nice to see Ben and Maddie win the first immunity and stay safe.
But yeah, it's fine. It's good to win the first one, of course. Now you can kind of plot against each other and actually be safe for the first one, which is great. So
yeah, the first merge bowl I would definitely say is the biggest one. It's one of the most important ones you need to stay safe at, because of the fact that the first merge vote is always, and as we'll get to later on, it is always very chaotic, very sporadic. So many people are meeting each other for the first time that you don't know what's really going to happen. So Ben and Maddie both winning immunity is very, very good. And as we've talked about, Ben has had a lot of control in the game in the past. So this only cements the opportunity to further his control over the game. Will he make it a stranglehold? Will he get taken out earlier on? Who really knows? We know, but you don't. But what do you say?
Who knows, right?
You don't know.
Well, we do.
We do, yeah. I don't know how that's one of my catchphrases. I was hoping it would have been.
All right. Well, after the challenge, we kind of get to the whole talking phase now, which I'll kind of introduce.
Yeah, you guys go first and talk all your stuff, and then I'll talk after you guys and say a couple things I thought were interesting.
Yeah, just happened. So first off, we see Kira talking with a couple of people, saying, talking with John and like Ben, saying that she is OG Blue Eye strong, because they didn't really she didn't really vibe with anybody on the old Vuku camp when she was there, so she's still strong with the old Ulai camp. And then we see something crazy going on. Natalie's trying to form this all girls alliance, but keep out Kira, which is so funny. Just because there's of course they're skeptical because they didn't really get a lot from the old Vuku camp from her, so they're like, let's just keep her out, I guess.
It's like the Black Widow Brigade, not including Eliza.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, but fair enough, I guess. Play the game how you want to play it. And then probably my favorite is Zach and Tyler talking about forming an alliance and breaking apart from and then Zach breaking apart from the OG Bulai tribe because that one rogue vote that happened. And then John knows Zach knows that he voted for him in that rogue vote, so it's kind of funny, like having that all blow up in John's face, kind of that, like he was the rogue vote, but like John doesn't care. John was just there to stir up some controversy. Like, yeah. Anything from that so far?
Yeah, I do think just that little bit alone. I think John is a great player, but him not really caring too much about certain things going on that involve him kind of being thrown out there. The way I kind of see it is that it's like, if your name's getting thrown out there for any reason it sounds negative, personal experience talking, like you need to get that out and get that bad energy out, find a source, boom. Like, I don't know. I can't say that much, because I haven't made a merge since like 2022, but like, I don't know. Sai, what do you have to say about it?
I thought this was a very entertaining episode. Now that we are up to the merge, the talking and the little conversations that all these players have become even more important than they already were. And it was very fun to see all these conversations and to see all these rumors and speculations flying about people having certain advantages in the game and whether they will use them at the following tribal. Or what I really enjoyed was the little conversation between Rebecca, Maris, and Natalie, where Rebecca kind of drops the truth on them that perhaps John and Taylor might be working together and they might be in a relationship together. And I thought it was very funny how these were two people that either already knew they were together or were certainly suspicious. So I thought that was a very fun moment of the episode.
Yeah, totally.
People talk about in Heroes, Healers, and Hustlers how Ben kept dropping Ben bombs. Maris just dropped the Maris bomb. So
yeah,
I do think I do want to say I do also want to give props to John though. I remembered it right after you guys started talking. I was like, John is like definitely aware of his position, because I forgot if they said this way earlier on or if it was late after this point you were at. But I do think it was very interesting that he was definitely very well aware that he was able to kind of piece together very quickly that if the swap Vuku went to another tribal before a merge, then he was basically screwed, is what it sounds like he was aware of, and how he made it seem like Ben dropped the ball in it and kind of hinted to him like, hey, you're screwed right now. And I was like, damn. It's definitely an interesting thing, that conversation, and him being very well aware of that in the game.
Yeah, I do want to segue to that truth bomb by Maris, because Maris and Kira both tell Ben about the couple secret, and we get one of the best shots ever with Ben's just mouth just hitting the floor, basically.
Preposterous.
And then John comes in, and they kind of form like this like voting block, kind of with John, Maris, Kira, and Ben kind of going on now.
We're really strong, guys.
And yeah, Mira's kind of hopping on OG Bulai's side and not the OG Vuku tribe. So that's kind of interesting to see there.
Well, and for Maris too, it's like she hasn't really had much of a reason to go to the Vukus because she hasn't really had much experience or conversations with any of what those four is it right now? Yeah, those four being Natalie, Taylor, Tyler, and
Rebecca.
Thank you. I'm scatterbrained today. Oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think Maris is not like the worst thing for Maris. So like whether she plans to play both sides or not going forward, who really knows? But it is very smart for her in this conversation kind of pivot it to, Bulai strong, whatever they think it could mean for context of the conversations.
I do want to point out something just kind of funny because, just production wise, we were running all around trying to get these mics to different people, and it worked out very well on the film. But like behind the scenes, we were all just running around. It was like a Chinese fire drill type thing. We were all just running around trying to make sure mics here, mics here, mics here. Like it was the most craziest.
And making sure, making sure they didn't get mixed up.
Basically, like it was probably more than 15 minutes, but like it was a long time for that first tribal, and we were just running around all over the place, making sure that do we have mics on this conversation? Do we have mics on this conversation? Hey.
Hi.
Then, like, it is just looking at it now, it's the most funniest thing ever because Devin even said like, dude, you guys were like, running around like so well. It was the funniest thing ever, and it was. And I still have, if we can get like a tally on how much times John V didn't give me the mic back each time, because he always put it on as like a hoodie string.
Yeah, he didn't have to be
back. Like, oh, God, I need it back on. It's happened like 15 times over that whole like time. It was like, John, I need it back, man.
It was double with me. It was so funny because it was so funny because I know a couple of times I kept having to like give John the mic, and I'd be suddenly like, John, take the mic. It was like the kid from Shrek. It's like, do the roar. I felt like that. I'm like, John, take the mic.
Yeah, dude, John would just forget.
I thought for a hot second he was getting annoyed with me for asking about the mic so many times. I'm like, no, don't get annoyed with me.
Like everybody else was like, hey, yeah, here you go. Like John just kept it on him the whole time. I was like, we need it back.
To be fair, John did have really great audio though, from what I could tell, because he had it on, so he at least was aware to keep it
on. But getting back to the actual conversations, Ben is the first person to tell Tyler that the OG Bulai camp thinks he has the idol, and I kind of like this two-way conversation going on here with Ben and Tyler, because it is really like, sure, we might not be voting for each other, but I do want to still work with you, and it's kind of cool seeing Ben kind of like do that, because I think he was like the first person to actually reach out to like a VUCA member and tell him like, hey, sure, we're not gonna be voting together, but I still want to work with you, kind of. And that's a kind of a cool little two-way alliance that we should probably keep an eye on further down the season. And we also see old VUCA trying to pull in Maris, but she's probably not going to budge because she is still strong on the old Bulai camp. So, anything else you want? Go ahead.
Me? Oh yeah. The only thing I wanted to mention, I don't whether or not this was like the right time to mention this. I do think it was very interesting that throughout this entire section before Tribal, and maybe you haven't gotten to this yet, now that I'm thinking about it, but I do think Taylor and Rebecca gain a lot more content. Is really great to see. I know in the last live stream we were literally talking about how Rebecca and Taylor were like, we want to see what's going on with them too. Sorry, I'm getting back to this. This was so funny, and I'm like, I had to mention this. To be fair, I never knew who I was going to be filming next, and I didn't know, but yeah, that was really funny. Thank you for your patience with that, John. Just because of that, when I eventually do the challenge, I'll be bringing the mics back, and we'll do the same thing there. We'll go round to Electric Boogaloo.
Shout out to Amazon for getting us those mics.
Yeah, shout out to
wherever they're from.
There's still a lot of
We'll put like a sponsor segment in here now.
We still gotta there's still a lot to fix with the mics, but like it was like a good first a trial run with them. So
yeah. Okay. Jokes aside, I just want to finish this. What I was saying, throughout the entire merge portion, like right before Tribal, after a challenge before Tribal, a lot more people, we could see a lot more of Rebecca going around talking to people, and even people are definitely coming up to Taylor and telling her all sorts of information, all sorts of stuff going on. And I do think that's really, really great for Taylor's game, especially considering the fact that you want to be in that spot where everyone trusts you enough to tell you that information. And to me, it at least tells us that even though we haven't seen a lot from her, she could be playing a phenomenal social game if she's getting everyone to tell her all this stuff left and right, left and right.
Yeah, it's a very low-key game right now.
Right. And low-key in the merge is what you want. If you are very high-key, like, out there, you're going to be sought after. And that's exactly what we start to end up seeing.
Her name was not thrown out there once at all, so.
Right. And that's what we kind of see with starting to see with people like Zach and Kira, especially in this episode, being two very, I don't know if I want to say high key is the right word, but very much more like, I don't know if out there is the right word, but like
Vocal, maybe, I don't know.
Vocal, vocal, like more vocal and kind of like bigger names, I guess, in the span of like they're just kind of like talking more. So as another comment I saw, I'll highlight later. Yeah, so there is a lot of very interesting stuff that went on this round, and I really am glad that we got to see a lot of everyone this time around, and everyone did give such great content. But I do also thought it was interesting how maybe this is again a little ahead of where you were at, Alex, and mentioning the post merch stuff, but probably Natalie's name finally gets thrown out.
Yeah, that's. I was just gonna cover that right now. Natalie.
Yeah, we're psychically connected, you know.
Natalie actually goes to Ben and says, "Are you? Do you want to flip on your OG, Bulai alliance?" And he's like, kind of like, "Whoa, what?" Kind of. But yeah, it's like Natalie's playing very strong right now. We see that kind of throughout the whole merge up, so that she is playing very strong right now, and she.
I'm listening. Sorry, I was pointing at the comment.
Okay. Yeah, like she's playing very strong, and she has a lot of numbers on her side right now. Can she hold those numbers? We'll see. But like, she has played a very strong post merge game so far. So, kind of going to Ben and saying like, "Hey, are you ready to flip on your tribe or no?" Which it was kind of a bold statement, but like, that's kind of how you have to play kind of a bit to get some respect. So.
Right, and we've seen a lot of stuff from Natalie the entire time about how she's basically, even last episode, we talked about after the tribe swap, she was basically in control of post-swap Bulai. Like, she basically was the one calling the shots, and I mean, I really think that if she plays her cards right, she could go far, but, she's a very dominant player, and again, they're starting to look at the dominant characters and players in this game as of this episode, so who knows if she's going to be a target soon or if she's going to be able to make it all the way. She gives me like vibes of like Kim Spradlin, Natalie Anderson, like who knows? Steib, what do you think about some of this?
Yeah. It was a very interesting tactic, a very bold tactic. Perhaps it would have went a little smoother had Natalie spoken to Kira, considering they were on the tribe swap, the same tribe during the swap, but before the merge, and maybe trying to sway her away from OG Bulai. Maybe that could have went a little smoother, but because we do know that Ben is pretty loyal to his original tribe mates, so it's interesting to see how that first initial interaction can shape the relationship with Ben and Natalie for the rest of this game.
Yeah, totally. We cut back to Tyler and Ben talking, and they're just, they're dumping everything they know on everybody to each other, and that's like kind of cool to see because I would have never thought Tyler and Ben would be talking this much about their old tribes and stuff like that. Like that is crazy, but then just kind of seeing it like that's kind of a low key alliance right there because nobody would think Ben would be aligned with Tyler at all. So right. Like they all think like he's like the OG Bulai like master kind of right now, but like that's a really cool low key alliance right there with Tyler and Ben to kind of look forward to as well.
Right, and we even get like I think was that the moment when Ben also told Tyler like, "Hey, everyone thinks you have an idol."
That's the first one. I'm talking about. They cut back to them, and then they're just dishing out every secret. Like Natalie's the strongest player on Vuku, and how like John B's one of the stronger players on the Blue Light camp, so they're just kind of dishing they're dishing info back on each other. So like it's kind of crazy seeing those two talk about like everything that they've experienced in the past like 4 hours.
Right, and I definitely think it's interesting too, just because of the fact that like Ben's in a power position on the original Blue Light group, whereas Tyler was basically on the bottom of the original Buku group. So
Yeah.
I do think it's very interesting that it's kind of like, again, yeah, it's a little bit of chaos going out right there, you know? Maybe Tyler could be Chaos Cast. Or even Ben, who knows? We know. But yeah, I definitely thought it was pretty fun that they just dumped it on each other immediately and are like, this is what you need to know. This is what's happening. So it was very, very like not like borderline lesson hesitant, which I thought was really funny. Could it come back to bite both of them if the others find out? Maybe. But they both seem like they're smart enough to keep their mouth shut about it. So, and that's, again, you got to know when to speak up and when to keep your mouth shut. And I feel like for Tyler and Ben, them choosing this time to speak up about what they know to the other is the perfect time for it. So, Steib, what do you think about all this?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It's a smart move right now to discuss important events like that, because when you're at this point in the game, you do need to have a few options to make it to the end, and to start a new relationship now is the perfect idea. So yeah, it's interesting to see, and we'll see how far that relationship could perhaps run several key moments in the game.
Yeah. Cool. Then we cut back to the Girls Alliance talking about that they don't want to go for Kira yet because they want to kind of keep her along, but they want to continue to vote for Zach, which like I think like the first time we should hear like Zach's name go out is when the Girls Alliance was talking about voting out Zach over Kira, which is kind of weird because Zach's playing more of like a really, I don't want to say like chaotic game, but like he thinks he's higher than he thinks he is on the totem pole, so he thinks he has a lot more leeway in these votes.
Yeah.
Richie, go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, no, anyways, I 100% agree with that. Zach definitely, up to this episode was definitely, I mean, to be fair, in the pre-Bulai period of the game, the pre-swap Bulai, Zach was basically seemingly on the top, where it was seemingly Ben, Maddie, and Zach from what some people were saying. So I kind of get where he's feeling comfortable, but at the same time, it's like merge changes everything. You should never be comfortable at the merge. But I don't really think it's a worse idea for them to target Zach, because if the girls start saying that, like, we want to do an all-girls alliance, but we want to vote off a girl first, it's going to look a little suspicious to the girls you're trying to pull in by saying something like that. It'd look really suspicious for, I mean, example, like say a bunch of people who played one season together come back in the future and they're like, we want to work together, but we want to vote one of the people that we potentially would work with out of the alliance. Like that would just kind of look fishy. So it's like, I do kind of get that whole mindset of wanting to like do that, you know? So yeah. That's just what I think about it. Steib, what do you think?
Yeah. It's very interesting to see how quickly the plans are changing in the short few moments before tribal council. And there's a lot of unknowns still yet to be discovered, whether people could use advantages to shape how this vote may fall. We're about to see how that happens in a little bit, and I think it's just more interesting conversations.
Yeah, we saw a lot more.
Full of them.
Yeah, we still have a lot more conversations to talk about still. Then we of course see Rebecca telling Maris and Natalie about the couples, and I do feel like that's kind of ruined her game a lot now, because just her just telling them like just like out loud that it kind of puts a huge target on her back now with Taylor and Natalie and John, because that's a 3-vote block right there, and then Rebecca knowing a lot more now kind of puts that bigger threat on her now, which yeah I knew that no one was really like anti Zach. It was just like it was either Kira or Zach, and like yeah I don't think anybody really hated Zach. It was just kind of,
Right. I think it was because of fact, I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut in, but I just want to cut in kind of by saying that, like, I definitely kind of think he reminded me a lot of me in my first season, where if you come off very anxious, sporadic, and paranoid, like, even if it's like not like negative wise, it's like no matter what happens, it's like people are gonna notice it. Some people will like it, some people don't. But like Zach kind of reminded me in that moment. I'm like, no, Zach's pulling on me. He's like pissing off a couple of wrong people by, or I shouldn't say pissing people off, but more of like
turning them away.
Yeah, exactly. Like almost turning them away. And it's
Yeah.
like, Zach, no, like I felt so bad because like watching him, I'm like, it's like watching someone like do the same mistake I made, and I was like, oh, Zach. But yeah, like that's how I never thought it was anti-Zach, more of just paranoia.
Being there
almost.
at the kind of like the wrong time as well, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And him not really throwing out a name really either. Like he was kind of more reserved and not really like out there throwing out names. But you know, you live, you learn.
Yeah.
Now we get to the most fun part. Zach and Maris are talking, and we just see Ben just jump in and just say, "I'm up with Natalie," out of nowhere. he just jumps in and says, "I'm up with Natalie," and then they're like, "Whoa, what?" And I get, Natalie kind of put the pressure on Ben, and that kind of, it kind of means like, okay, we see she's playing a harder game. Well, it was just so funny because seeing him just go up and just say, "I'm ready to vote Natalie right now," and I feel like that's be a really fun one-sided rivalry coming up. We'll see, but like I feel like just Ben's one-sided rivalry against Natalie is just so funny. Oh man.
Yeah, I definitely think that this is a moment where I almost think it was a kind of a mistake for Ben to say Natalie's name, because in the way we've seen stuff so far, granted, we see everything, they don't see everything. But the way I'm kind of looking at it is that it's like Natalie clearly has control of a good chunk of people. She already has a good block of 3 from what we've seen. She has very much great connections. And so anyone throwing Natalie's name out is going to borderline look like, oh, well, we have to get them out now because Natalie's someone I want to work with. Like Natalie's placed herself really well. So, I definitely thought it was very interesting overall.
Yeah, like it's like the 2 power players of each tribe kind of like clashing at once, kind of. It's pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
Because you have Bulai, which was heavily Ben the whole time, kind of controlling that, and then you have Natalie kind of the whole time controlling Vuku. So it's kind of funny seeing them two like actually like say like, oh, like I want to vote each other out, kind of like that.
Yeah.
So that was kind of fun to see happen.
Yeah. I do like that it's kind of going both into what we were talking about and kind of answer his question Devin said. That I do like that one of the things I really like about this episode, that it did have a lot of strategy, and especially for the merge. The merge is one of the episodes that definitely shouldn't, like, no one should be afraid to have a bit of a longer merge episode, because that is the episode where people are going to have more conversations. After that, maybe less conversations will happen just because people start to kind of get into the groove of it at that point. But especially that first merge episode, definitely having it be a lot longer with a ton of strategy. Like the game is literally social strategy. And we even get to see a lot of players do that and use their past connections to
everyone plays really well this episode as well.
Right.
Like the whole cast does really well with
right. Right, and that's why I liked it. It was a longer episode with a ton of strategy talks, and that it wasn't like, I feel like it was focused on the right areas. I feel like
exactly.
I liked it. Steib, what do you think?
Well, I have 2 parts. Part 1, I absolutely loved what happened with Ben just going 0 to 100 on Natalie. I still think this. I think this is probably the best rivalry in this season of Survivor Wisconsin, and I was very entertained by this and by what's to come. So I absolutely loved those interactions. And part 2 to this would be, I did enjoy this longer episode full of strategy as well. I thought it was absolutely essential to understand how these relationships are getting the information that they need to pull off these moves. So I've enjoyed this episode very much.
Yeah, totally. We then kind of see Ben go start putting Natalie's name in people's ears. We see him putting it into Kira's ear, and then we see Maris just Maris out of nowhere telling hold up. Yeah, so Maris comes out of nowhere and says to Kira that Natalie put her name out there. So now Natalie has a couple, enemies kind of roaming around. So like she kind of went from like the power position now to like right in the middle, kind of where she is kind of teetering now. I feel like so. It is kind of funny to see like kind of her like power kind of drop a little bit. Because now we have Maris, we have Kira both now knowing that okay, Natalie's kind of a bigger power player now. What do we do now? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. Like Natalie, like the first merge vote is really kind of where you start to set yourself up well for the rest of the game. People like Ben and Maddie could have a really great shot at setting themselves up well to even possibly make an endgame run if they play their cards right. However, Natalie, on the other hand, we kind of get to see the other side of this, where Natalie, it's almost starting to look like, is Natalie going to be a big, massive like target the next couple rounds? Is she able to slip under the cracks again, like, and play the middle? Like, who really knows, But Natalie almost seems like she's starting to not be set up the best way, more so for just kind of other people kind of being sketchy or sketched out by her, I should say, and how much power she has. But, at this point in the game, she does seem to be somewhat setting herself up okay by having at least good bonds with people and at least having a lot of awareness of the game around her. So,
yeah.
Steib, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's pretty fair considering the great game Natalie has been playing thus far. So I think it's natural for her to end up picking up the heat, so to speak. And it remains to be seen if she can shake that heat and use it to her advantage or not. So you don't know, but we know.
But we know, yeah.
Then we kind of see Natalie officially put like all the numbers on Zach, officially kind of talking with the Girls Alliance and being like, okay, we're gonna vote Zach. That's fine. But then we see, lastly, we see Rebecca kind of go to Taylor and Tyler, saying, just talking with them, and then lastly we see Tyler scrambling, kind of putting Rebecca's name out there. Lastly, right before we hit tribal, so we don't know what's happening there until we actually go to tribal, where we kind of figure out what's going on. So, anything else? Is there anything else before tribal we want to talk about?
The only thing that I can recall that maybe we didn't touch on was John kind of going up to a couple people at one point and saying like, hey, we need to throw out a name, because everyone's just saying we should vote someone, but they're not throwing out a name. And I kind of like, if you're in that spot and no one's giving you a name, it usually means that you're at risk. And I think it's lucky for John that he wasn't. But like 90% of the time, if you're in that spot where you're like, hey, people are just saying we have to vote someone out, but I'm not getting a name, it's usually you. Like, so I'm surprised John didn't go more into game mode, but I mean, he definitely had enough awareness to, I guess, see the spectrum of, spectrum of gameplay, I guess, going on. So,
yeah.
Steib, anything else you want to say before I start the tribal talks?
Nothing other than I was very entertained by these conversations after the competition, and there's a lot of scrambling going on, and nobody wants to make it this far just to go out and be the first juror. But at the end of the day, that's what you're going to have to do. So it was smart to finally like start pushing the subject of, okay, who are we going to vote out here?
Yeah.
Agreed. Aleks, any last minute things you want to say, or?
No, I said all my piece, so I think we're ready for tribal.
All right. So we get to tribal council, and I think it's gonna be really. I mean, I was definitely really excited for this because there's a lot of like talks going on, people whispering at tribal council, a lot of left and right. We even get a lot of fun voting confessionals. Like John is just not like bitter, but he's like, I hope you're out next, or like it's something like that, which I kind of thought was funny. But we then get to the vote reveal where 2 idols are played. Where 2 idols are played, one by Rebecca for herself. That negates, I believe it was 6 votes against herself. And Kira plays her idol, which, if I recall correctly, I believe negated 1 vote against herself. And the rest of the votes kind of come down to a 2-1, where Zach is the first member of the jury, 5th person voted out of the game. And it's very sad to see Funky Town go out. I heard someone laughing. Now I started laughing.
Yeah.
I definitely feel bad for Zach because it's like he really clearly wanted to be there and he was so excited. But it's like, kind of like I said before, like I think he just, I don't know. It's just like Zach being the first juror, I think was interesting, especially on his way out, where he literally was like talking to John. He's like, what did he say again? I think I kind of remember it, but I think it'd be funnier if one of you guys said it. What John said to Zach on the way out.
All I remember is you snake ass. I think that was it, if I'm not wrong.
That was the line.
Well, and here's the thing I want to also get into with that is that now that the jury starts off, you have to manage the jury well.
Yeah.
Like if you're pissing people off on their way out, or if someone is clearly pissed off at you, you better hope you have a really good campaign to like get them back, swing them back over to you if you're lucky enough to get the final tribal. Like I've been in that spot before where I pissed off a couple people at the wrong time, and guess what? Ha ha ha! It was screw Richie at the end because I pissed off the wrong people. So, jury management is very important, and that really starts to make me question John going forward on how, because I mean, the first member of the jury is usually noted as the king or queen of the jury. And they usually have a lot of say and influence because they kind of get to see everything that happens, a lot of stuff going on. I don't know.
Yeah.
John and Rebecca, whoever he was saying it towards, really makes me skeptical. I thought he was saying it towards John because he turned towards it right after he said that. But I mean,
yeah, that's exactly what it was right there. Yeah.
Yeah, like John, Rebecca. It really may kind of make me see my a little bit of like, oh, like what's gonna go on with them if they get to the end with the jury. So, Steib, Aleks, what do you guys have to say about this before we get into our final thoughts?
I do really want to give props to both Rebecca for playing that idol and kind of she kind of orchestrated this whole thing with Taylor and Tyler with kind of blindsiding Zach kind of because I think those three voted for Zach, right? Rebecca, Tyler, and Taylor, right? I'm pretty sure.
I believe so. I mean, I take your word on it.
I think so. So I'm pretty sure that was it because that's a really well orchestrated move, and having Tyler be the one to throw her name out there is a very smart move as well. Because it wouldn't be say like, oh man, yeah, just vote me. No, because kind of having Tyler kind of throw out that name is a really well thought out plan. I really respect that plan, and it worked out really well for her as well. Because you know what, she negated 5 votes and put the votes on Zach then. So yeah.
Steib, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm certainly disappointed because I thought Zach was a fantastic player to watch in this game. And it is unfortunate, but that's the nature of the game. He's the first juror, and I thought he was entertaining all the way until the end. And I think he'll continue to be entertaining when he eventually decides that final vote.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Now, final thoughts for the episode before we get into the other stuff.
Break
down.
No. Let's keep let's keep highlighting these questions because or just comments.
Well, I was gonna get into player of the episode before we get to that, but
well, I do. Well, it's still kind of irrelevant right now with if Ben used the nullifier, that would have been cool. But like, I don't think Ben really knew at all that Rebecca had an idol, so that kind of sucked. But like, that would have been pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
I'm ready to just go to player of the episode then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then.
So I'll go first. I definitely think the player of the episode, you know, it would kind of bounce back and forth a lot for me, but I do have to say, it's gonna be maybe a surprise pick for people considering that I maybe a little less out there in this episode than other people were, but I have to give it to Taylor. It's like I said before, I think the fact that Taylor's gained a lot of people coming up to her, telling her everything, when anything negative comes up about her this episode, about her and John, everyone comes up and talks to her and they're like, hey, guess what? Like, this is what's going on. Your name's being thrown out. And that's a great spot to be in this game, especially the first merge vote. Not one vote was placed onto her. Votes are placed on John. Natalie's name was thrown out there. Zach got some votes. Kira got a vote. Rebecca got a lot of votes. Taylor's sitting pretty. Like, in my opinion, I think that bodes really well for Taylor, whether or not this changes, because anything can change in a matter of minutes in the game. But for me, looking at it from an analytical sense and a logical sense, that would just show me that, like, hey, Taylor's in a really phenomenal spot going forward. Like, she's managing her relationships well enough to where they trust her enough to tell her everything that she needs to know, which then she can use going forward. So Taylor is my player of the episode. Aleks, Steib, how about you guys?
My player of the episode is Rebecca. You know, she orchestrated this blindside that worked out really well. And the fact that, again, she got 5 people to vote for her in like not even like a minute. It was so quick before tribal because I was filming the whole thing. It was like less than a minute, and they got 5 people to vote for her. That is just like a masterclass in idol play, and I really respect that play. It might butter in the ass just because of how people might respond to it, but at that point in the game, it was a pretty fun, just power move from her to do that. So I'll give my player of the episode to Rebecca.
All right, Steib, what do you think? Who's your player of the episode?
Following a similar pattern as you two, I've got to go with the third person mainly responsible in Zach getting voted out of this game. I'll go with Tyler as my player of the episode, being able to lay low and continue to not draw too much heat on himself while also establishing these key relationships with the original Vuku and even with Ben. It was very fun to see him play, and he wasn't telling any lies to anybody because he was getting a lot of suspicions about having an idol. He didn't have an idol. He has to steal a vote, as the audience knows, which is different. So he's not telling no lies. And he still has that steal a vote after this tribal. So he's sitting in a really good position.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe he has the steal a vote until final 7, right? Yeah, and then once it's gone, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, like I think right now Tyler is sitting like the best spot right now. Besides Taylor, of course. Tyler right now is sitting in probably the best spot. I feel like. He has people from both tribes kind of being like, hey, let's do something together. And he is just playing such a low key game that no one really knows what he's doing. But like, if he can get there and prove what he's done, it's a really good. It could be for a really good final tribal if he gets there. So.
All right. So, before we get into the questions, I wanted to kind of give a sneak peek of the next episode. I do have a little breakdown I was sent to today. The aftermath of a blindside to begin the merge is bloody and secrets are out. That is all you guys get for the next episode, for episode 6, airing on Thursday, June 26th. And now the last thing we want to do, or at least I want to for sure do, is questions, you know? So this is unlike Survivor in the hands of the fans, we're actually going to put it in the hands of you guys for questions. Again, to give us questions about what we want to hear or that you want to hear us answer. So it can be about everything up to this point in this season, stuff in the past seasons. Ask us questions. There were a lot of really good ones last week. Yeah, so I would definitely give it a minute for questions to pop in.
While we're waiting, I just taking notes from the episode. It does feel like powers are shifting now. Like some people that are on the top now might be on the bottom, and some people on the bottom that are kind of creeping up to the top. Right. So it is kind of funny seeing like the totem pole kind of like totally looks like flip over kind of.
Right. Like I agree with that. Like, do you know the I see a question pop up. I'll answer after I say this because I'm gonna forget it if I don't. Have you guys ever heard of the ride like the Zipper? Like the one where like they you put in these little like capsule like things and like there's like 6 to 8 of them and they like spin you around and like you're spinning around. It almost kind of reminds me of that right now, where people at the bottom are starting to go to the top. Everything at the top, you're kind of getting twisted and turned around, going all the way to the bottom. And I don't know if I've really made sense saying that, but I hope someone gets the gist of what I'm trying to say. Like, I thought it was very interesting.
Yeah. Let's get the question.
We have the legend Corey Davis saying, where does this idol play rank all time in the lore? I don't know. I think we've only had like one other time where like 2 idols were played. Granted, even if Kira did not play her idol, I do still get the reason why she did it.
Yeah, her name was thrown out there so much that
and it's like I said, you'd rather guarantee you're safe than like yeah, I definitely think it was a really fun one because it's one of the few times, I think might be the second time, third time I think it may have been, second or third time I believe it was, where more than one idol was played at the same tribal. I know it happened in Last Chance at Dolphin Sam's Vote Off, I believe, with Lita Joe and Idol Sam. It happened. I thought it happened last season, right? Didn't it happen last season? It feels like a decade ago.
I don't think so.
I know, but do you two know?
I'm trying to think. I don't think two players played an idol. I think it was just Matt.
No, it's right. I was thinking of the Rock Jar because one had immunity, and then the 2 vote. Yeah, never mind. I was wrong with that. I believe it's only twice. Maybe I did forget something. Maybe
twice.
It's probably another time I'm just forgetting of. But yeah, I would definitely say it ranks very highly for me. Steib, Aleks, what do you guys think?
Of course, not higher than mine, of course, but like it is up there, of course, still.
I'm gonna have to second that opinion. I thought Alex's play was the most superior move in all of Survivor Wisconsin history.
This idol play runs high just because of how well the production of it kind of formed into like this whole kind of small story that kind of peaked at Tribal. So I do feel like on the production side, it's a lot more satisfying to see. And it's a good vote off as well. You have the power and you kind of totally take that power through the Tribal. So
yeah, and one thing
it's high.
Yeah, one thing I want to also mention with this is that's really about what you do with an idol as well. Like just kind of in terms of playing idols in general. Like in one of my seasons I did in the past, I played an idol. Well, I had an idol and everyone kind of knew about it, and I stirred up so much chaos unintentionally, of course, because of it. And I mean, a lot of people were too scared to even vote for me. So the fact that even afterwards, I think some people were, granted, I had immunity the next round, but like I think some people were still very much like not wanting to vote for me, and it kept me insulated. As again, when I had immunity, whether it's an idol or a individual necklace, I still talk to people. I'm like, hey, this is what we should do, and try to make bonds with people. And it's really about what you do when you have the idol, rather than just playing it in general. So we have yet to see how that will work out for Rebecca and Kira in the long run. But I definitely do think it's a very high-ranking one. I'm going to highlight this comment and read it out loud while we wait for some more questions from everyone. That was still so awesome at Tribal when Rebecca just called out Zach in front of everyone about him telling her and about Kira having an idol. Seasons are frustrating in their history. A++ cast. Devin, I had to disagree. It's an A+++ cast. Triple plus, Devin. Just one more than what you had. I'm gonna highlight this thing from Corey too. Well, when you scream, you find the idol. It's very easy to stir up some chaos. I love my. Yeah, it was easy in Fans vs. Favorites. Okay, to be fair, it was behind a picture that everyone was like standing next to. There was no way I could have found it discreetly, dude. You know that. Although I think you were coming back from the bathroom when I found it, so I definitely was screaming. It was so funny. It was a funny episode. Jake's idol play for Christian and getting Emily out in Legends is definitely up there, and his celebration after. Yeah, she was pissed on the jury. I definitely remember that. I know you guys probably didn't watch. Did you watch Legends or no? I thought one of you said you watched a couple episodes of Legends.
2.
Wow, a whole 2.
Yep.
Which 2?
The first 2.
Oh, I thought you were gonna make a joke and say it was like my vote off episode.
I wish.
Yeah, so I'm hoping we get at least a couple more questions, because I'm really hoping to get I'm stalling at this point, but I'm really hoping we get one question about something going on.
Hey man, that's all in the past, man. Now we're in Survivor, Wisconsin now. The superior one, if I have to say so myself.
Devin, put Aleks in a tribe of like all legends, and I dare you to see if he can get voted off first. He can speedrun my time in Cabin Fever, no balls.
That's fine. Most people are done playing anyways.
I'm joking.
Survivor Whitewater versus Survivor Wisconsin, mayhaps.
That'd be a fun.
Or like done playing.
Might have to bring the old folks out of retirement.
Yeah, right.
We're gonna have to bring well, some people I can imagine are becoming in walkers. I'm voting Aleks off the podcast. Aleks.
Oh shit.
Travis spoken.
Yeah, you thought.
Nobody has spoken. We ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
Oh, we do have one question. Hi Taylor, by the way.
Okay.
Do 2 questions. Okay. Loaded question for each of you. Who has been your favorite player to watch in Survivor Wisconsin overall? Maybe don't include players from this season. Okay, so we're going to talk about players from the first 6 seasons of Survivor Wisconsin, being Wisconsin 1 through Survivor, One World 2 being last season. Who was our favorite player to watch in those seasons overall? And just, I'm assuming it means just 1 overall, but maybe if we want to talk about like 1 player from each season, if you guys end up wanting to do that, but up to you guys. I'll pass off to you guys first.
I gotta highlight some players. Matt, the most chaotic player we probably ever had in the show. Matt's probably, of course, one of my favorite players to come out of Wisconsin. Who else? I'm blanking.
I've got to agree with you on Matty Ice. Yeah, he played one hell of a game last season in One World.
Yeah. One of mine, I definitely would have to say is Amelia.
Yeah.
I feel like I've said this over and over. I think Amelia is borderline a winner in waiting. I think Amelia is a very smart person. I think her just being like, I definitely think she reminds me a lot of me playing the game, where she's like not afraid to kind of scream out and be like, this is what's going on, and like borderline fight people in that like one challenge. I thought it was hilarious. I was still laughing at that, where she's like, she just puts the blocks on, we win, and like that was a hilarious moment right there. Amelia's one of my favorites. Any other favorites you guys want to talk about before I talk about like another person? Or
go ahead. No, just keep naming them off, man.
Maybe I'm being a bit of a kiss ass, but Aleks, I thought you were really fun when you played 3 times.
My 3rd time was probably my best time, easily.
Well, that was the same for me.
The only thing I will say is that I am so proud I pinned Corey and Nate together against one another in Summer Solstice. That was like the highlight of my day right there, is having the two big dogs kind of go at it for our first vote off.
Corey's gonna have so much fun with you when he replies to this eventually.
Oh yeah, he will. But yeah, I still love, watching that scene back and seeing like, oh yeah, I did that.
But yeah, I definitely think out of the newbie wise, I definitely think that Maddie is someone who I was in terms of evolution, Maddie, if we're avoiding people talking about from this current season, Maddie was very fun to watch. I definitely think she has a lot of potential still to showcase. Either of you two want to say anything, like any other players?
Well, not Corey.
Aside from ourselves.
Did you just say not Corey?
No.
And I said aside from ourselves.
You would. I was about to say he would.
Aleks.
How about Devin? He was one of my favorites. I just wish he wasn't screwed in One World.
There we go. I will say, like, there's a lot of, people I do want, see play again because, their story was kind of either not well told or like just not fully finished. Right. So yeah, I'll just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we'll go on to the next question now because we got a bunch of them swapped in. Rebecca says, who did you think was getting voted off going into Tribal? In the moment. Yeah, okay. Like who we thought in the moment was getting voted off going into that Tribal. That's a really good question, actually. Honest to God. Actually, you guys go first. I'm trying to remember what I thought of, like, word for word in that moment.
For me, I thought it was going to be Natalie or John getting voted off. I think those two were very vocal. And I thought, you're being very vocal, like, pretty quickly right now. I could just bite you in that butt, but, like, I was really shocked that Zach was, because I thought Zach was going to get a bit more further. But, I was surprised that Zach got voted up. Like, yeah, I thought it was going to be Natalie or John V going first in the merge.
I just remembered who I remembered it was. My prediction going into that Tribal was Zach because of that vote in the the previous episode and how, like, what John was talking about in episode 4, and I thought, like, Zach's starting to get screwed going in the merge. Because obviously I saw John as having a lot of influence at that point in the game. And the thought process I have was that, like Zach's at risk if John's throwing his name out. So, Steib, who did you think was getting voted off going into this Tribal this episode?
Considering all the gossip that was going around before Tribal and considering who had advantages and who I thought would play them, I also thought it wasn't looking good for Zach, and I figured he would be voted out, unfortunately.
All right. Taylor, I haven't watched it yet. I'm at work. Did that Taylor girl get voted off? Yeah, and the Snyder cut, sorry.
Dude, I'd like to see a Snyder cut for this. That would be funny.
Oh my gosh. Highlight of my day was yeah, I knew I was gonna say something for you, Aleks. I knew it.
Yeah, I thought it was, I knew it was coming.
Oh, Corey, come back to Wisconsin sometime. We all miss you. I think a lot of the newbies in Captain's Curse was refreshing. They were, yeah, a lot of them were really good. Question from Kira: are you guys going to want to play again? I'll answer this first. I've said this over and over again. I definitely do. I'm just more so waiting a few seasons more and waiting for the right time to come back. I definitely want to keep playing. Obviously, I'm not gonna say no unless I physically cannot be there. So that's at least how I think about it. Steib, Aleks, what do you guys think of this question?
Yeah, I feel like waiting a bit more longer, getting a lot more fresh faces in this cast of people that can come back for an all-star type season will be great because I've played with a lot of people like twice and even 3 times already. Like, okay, you know, but like if you know, just waiting a bit longer, I feel like, you know, a lot of new cast members would be kind of refreshing to see on, like, you know, again, like an all-stars cast, or like heroes versus villains, or like you know, unfinished business type season kind of. So well, yeah, we'll see.
Blood versus water.
I still have more in the tank. Blood versus water as well. Maybe
that'd be so much fun to get like blood versus water with like all new people. Like none of the people did the first one, but just all new people. That'd be so much fun.
Yeah,
I want to be in the casting board.
I've got like 2 more in the tank probably.
Sorry, continue.
I've got like 2 more in the tank. I feel like
I got at least like 100 more in the tank, but that's just me. I'm always gonna have the energy for it. Steib, how about you?
Yeah, you'll never win still.
Well, more of the same is what you're saying. Yes, absolutely. I would love to play. I think we're just waiting for the right time. And I think that's great because I still got a lot of studying left to do myself. I got to get back to the lab and I got to get ready for my next attempt because, I mean, I've already made this known in previous uploads to this channel. I want to win this motherfudging game. So that's my goal, and I don't care how long it takes to get there. I'd love to do that.
I agree with that. Yeah, I'm the exact same way. Like, I don't care how long it takes for me. I want to get my win eventually. So I feel that.
As long as we're still doing this, and the future's looking bright.
Corey
stay locked in. Stay subscribed.
Corey says, my favorite player was Connor, especially when he hit me in the face with a beanbag after losing a challenge to me and got mad at me for voting him. That was hilarious. Oh my gosh. That was fun to watch, like Connor versus Corey. You guys aren't gonna comment anything on that? Aleks, you should be. You were on this season.
Dude, I was voted off early, dude. That was way after I was voted off. You know, like, sure, I watched it. Sure, I watched it, but like, yeah.
Like the Jim Halbert.
Leave it in the past.
Yeah. Corey versus Nathan, Blood versus Water was funny too. Yeah, I definitely agree. Nathan, I'd love to see Nathan come back someday. Do I think he would play with me? Absolutely not. I'd love to play with him, but I don't know if he'd want to play with me. Really cool guy. Sorry, what were you saying, Aleks?
Just read it.
Richie's waiting me to I actually have I only read the first like 3 words of this. Richie's waiting for me to come back so we can smooch each other in the same trap.
Damn.
Corey, you know, you can hit me up anytime. You know that, bitch. No, I'm thinking of like The Graduate where Mrs. Robinson's talking to like Dustin Hoffman's character and she's like, I'm not trying to I can't even say it a lot. I'm laughing too hard. I don't know what's y'all's problem. Shit's easy. Yeah, it's easy for you, Corey. Don't answer if it's spoilery, but how would you group this cast for heroes versus villains?
I think we can, you know.
I mean, we could talk about the pre-mergers and like Zach, because I mean they're out. So like we could talk about like if we would think of those 4.
Or if we just go to the next question, she says just bank it for the finale question, you know, like that's a good finale.
Yeah, if we're only going to talk about those 4, maybe we should just hold on it.
Yeah, actually, I think it's a better idea. Rebecca, write it down somewhere and send it back to us for the finale, because then I think it'll be better to answer that then and there. Ayo, pause. For which question, Corey? You said a couple of things. Which one are you saying Ayo, pause at to the one we responded?
Usually the one that says smooching in it. Come on.
Well, I thought I could have been talking about The Graduate. That's a good movie. Dustin Hoffman's actually really fun in that role. I love seeing him in the first one. He's like, no.
Let's go to the next question.
Next question. Favorite moment from the episode for each of you?
Mine was probably Ben just going up to Maris and Kira just saying, I'm ready to... Maris and Zach and just saying, I'm ready to vote on Natalie. It was just like such like a bizarre, like, just burst into the conversation, just be like, I'm ready to vote for her. That, or like either that, or of course Tyler scrambling and trying to get people to vote to the vote for Rebecca was also kind of a funny little montage.
My favorite part of the episode probably has to be Zach when he goes out. He's all like snake ass, and like I thought that was really funny. Like it's fun to see people, whether or not they mean to be bitter or not. It's fun to see it because we've had so many seasons where some people get voted off at the most crucial times, and then oh yeah, Ben's gas poo. That's like that's like also like tied for me at my spot. I definitely think it was very funny though, just because it's like. Again, like it could come back to bite Rebecca in the end if she makes it to that point. But who even knows she even gets to that point because she got 6 votes under this round. So I don't know.
5.
This could brighten up for her, or 5. Sorry, she got 5 votes against her. So I mean, I do think that again, Zach's comment was really funny. It's like you definitely want to make yourself, if you're gonna go out, make yourself memorable on your way out. That's what I did. But yeah, it's Steib, what do you think about this comment?
My favorite moment would probably be Tribal Council as a whole. I thought it was very entertaining and very chaotic. Truth bombs were being thrown left and right. People were scheming, and I especially loved when both hidden immunity idols were played. I thought that was a big moment as well. And like you had mentioned, Richie, the little aftermath with Zach getting voted off, that was also entertaining. So I was enthralled with this Monday's Tribal Council.
I'm not even joking when I say, like, the more I think about that, the more Zach, like, gives me, like, me vibes. Because it's literally, like, it's just literally, like, Zach literally is, like, calling people out for being snakes on her way out. He's getting so paranoid to the point where like people are all like, we need to get Zach out. Like if Zach would have won this immunity somehow and just kept it going, he would have been like a little agent of chaos. And I think that would have been so funny to see if that actually did happen. But I'm really glad to see everyone in this season. So
are we ready to close it out now?
Yeah, I just want to click on are there any other last minute questions or last minute things that we saw? Like I remember something really fun on Thursday where we got like a confirmation of like certain players for certain things. I like those. Those are really fun, by the way.
Didn't we get 2 people confirmed for next season?
Even one, like okay, even one would be really cool. I love the way he did it too. I do want to say it better be like I said this last week. I'll say it again. It better be like the Survivor 50 thing where it's like a player from and it just like the logo like fades in. It's like has been selected. Like I need that.
Who's that Pokemon?
What was even the? I don't watch Pokemon. I haven't watched it since I was like 5. Like, what was a meme then? It was like he said like it's Pikachu, and then it's like, what was that?
It doesn't matter.
There's a few memes about that meme,
yeah.
But yes, I'm picking up what you're putting down.
That was a funny season.
I think we're ready to close it out now. There's really nothing else to read.
Well, we said that last week, and then like the minute we did was when like 4 things popped up.
All right, well, just been like a minute.
Can we give it like 30 more seconds?
Well, that's more than enough time for everybody to drop a like on this live stream.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you haven't already, go drop a like on the actual episode 5 that we just uploaded. And subscribe and stay tuned because we got another episode coming Thursday with another live breakdown following that as well.
Well, thanks for taking my job, Steib.
Well said, Brad. Well said.
Thank you.
Yeah, good job. Well said.
Right.
Yeah, cool. And on Thursday as well, we will definitely be showing off some stuff for the next couple weeks after the Thursday episode. So stay tuned for the live breakdown for that on Thursday. Damn, unfortunately, we don't have any other questions coming in right now. Yeah, so hopefully if anyone does have any questions that we didn't answer tonight, ask them again on Thursday. We're again, thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe to our channel. Stay tuned for more fun stuff going on. We really appreciate all of you guys watching. We're so happy to do this again for you guys. And we will see you on Thursday, June 26th at 8:15 p.m. Central. All right, have a great night, everyone. Stay cool.
See you later.
Stay safe.
Hot as hell outside.